Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 16. This is Royally Rumbled. I'm Jordan.
I'm Robert.
And today we are going to be covering WWE Hell in a Cell 2018.
16 episodes in, 2 Hell in a Cells. This is cool. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, isn't it?
We've been around for a year.
We've come a long way.
Seriously, dude. It's awesome.
Speaking of how much we've grown, we've actually been nominated for 3 different categories in the Wrestling Podcast Awards.
Those are brought to you by The Wrestle Hub on Twitter, at The Wrestle Hub on Twitter.
Yeah, so make sure you go ahead and give them a follow and vote for us for Best Duo, Best Prediction Podcast, and Podcast of the Year.
More than anything, right? Because obviously Podcast of the Year, that'd be nice, but there are some major podcasts out there, so I'm not vying too hard for that, but I'd really like to get Best Prediction. It's the whole show.
I'd like to think that no guess is as good as ours.
I mean, we say it all the time.
Yeah, that's the tagline. So we got you there,
So stay tuned. Follow the Wrestle Hub on Twitter, and they will eventually be posting the voting stipulations or rules or how you can vote or any sort of that kind of thing, because that'll be exciting.
Yeah, and while you're there, you could go ahead and follow us at Royally Rumbled.
Ah, well, they already do that.
Big things are happening because we're trying to get to 1,000 followers by the time Smackdown 1000 rolls around.
Smackdown 1000, what sort of significance does that hold for this podcast, Jordan?
Well, it's funny you should ask, Robert, because you and I are going to attend Smackdown 1000 live.
We are. It is in Washington, D.C., and we are going to Smackdown 1000.
We got our tickets already. We're pretty hyped. So if you're going to be there, hit us up over on Twitter. Tell us, we'll hook up. We'll get a photo together. We'll shout each other out. It'll be great.
Hell yeah.
It'll be a good time. We like interacting with you guys on all the different social medias and stuff, specifically Twitter. So we're really trying and hoping to get 1,000 followers by the time October 16th rolls around.
Dude, we're very close. We're so close, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, just a little over 100 to go. So if you're listening to this and you don't follow us,
do it.
Just do it, Help us out. We'll follow you back. It'll be a good time.
Could live tweet Raw and SmackDown together.
Yeah.
Complain as a group,
Yeah, we put up polls and trivia questions, and, it's a great wrestling Twitter podcast community that we're involved with. So, and to those who do follow us already, thank you. So, Robert, do you want to I guess we'll roll right into it.
Sure. It's kind of weird we don't have any announced pre-show matches, but maybe they're going for like a more spontaneous, story-driven pre-show situation where 2 guys walk past each other in a hallway. Maybe there's a brawl, and then they throw them in a match. Maybe it'll be something like that. Yeah,
we could get like a Kevin Owens squash match or Authors of Pain.
Mm-hmm.
There's...
With Drake Maverick.
Yeah.
Anywho, the first match on WWE Hell in a Cell 2018 features the charismatic enigma Jeff Hardy taking on the Apex Predator Randy Orton.
Sorry, I fell asleep. What were you saying?
Randy Orton doing a thing here. And it's a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, it is.
Want to stress that because this is the only match on this card that I feel like has not... They've done a lot story-wise. I'm not saying they haven't done a lot story-wise. I'm saying I don't know that they've done enough to warrant a Hell in a Cell match. And I feel like the only reason it's happening is because Jeff wants to perform in one of these matches before he hangs him up, and I think that's going to be soon.
See, I disagree with you there because Jeff and Randy inside Hell in a Cell actually makes perfect sense to me. at this point, because the way that they've built the match and they've built up to it and the animosity between the two, it just makes sense. I know it's been on Jeff's WWE bucket list, so I feel like he specifically is going to be extremely motivated going into it. I just wish that I could say the same for Randy Orton, because even this past Tuesday, he looked extremely bored when he was like setting up for the RKO and like he did the pounding on the mat, but he just looked bored. There's zero intensity there, and I have zero interest in him.
Well, he kicked off SmackDown a few weeks ago with the promo that shook Twitter to its core. He's like the one enjoyable thing you fans have, I'm gonna ruin that, and that's being a match with Jeff Hardy.
I mean, we said in our last episode that putting Orton with Jeff and the fact that Jeff is one of the most charismatic superstars was smart, because hopefully Orton does something interesting. And I feel like the stipulation and the fact that it's in Hell in a Cell only helps add to that.
So obviously Jeff's going to swanton off the top of the cage, right?
Yeah, I have a feeling. Or he's going to...
There's no way he doesn't, right?
Or Orton's going to be laying on the top. They're going to climb to the top of the cage, and Orton's going to be laying on the roof, and Jeff's going to climb onto like a catwalk in the ceiling and jump off that. Because that seems a little safer to me.
I thought you were going to say Orton was going to RKO him through the roof.
No, we're not. Jeff is 41 years old. That's not happening. And if it does, I'll cry.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. They're going to like be brawling up there, exchanging blows after like a 20-minute match, and then Jeff's going to swing at him, and Randy's going to duck it and just RKO him through the friggin' roof onto the mat.
That's way too high.
Yeah, it is. It's entirely too high. It's super dangerous, but Jeff wants to do it.
That's like last year with Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens, and me just cringing the entire 5 minutes that they were up on top of the cell.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
you knew it was going to be bad.
I think Jeff is going to jump off the cell, and it's going to be a huge moment. But I think he's going to crash and burn, and Orton's going to kind of pick the bones and come out on top, and to propel him into another feud.
Initially, I thought you said you were disagreeing with me because I thought when I said he was going to retire soon. But okay.
Well, I also disagree on that, but
I think that after this year's WrestleMania, Jeff is going to hang him up. That's what I think. Putting it out there right now. In September, Jeff retires by April.
I think he's got a couple more years left in him on a very limited schedule.
All right, so who you got winning this one?
So I have Randy Orton. Jeff's going to crash and burn, just like I said. And Orton's going to go on and do something else with someone else. And it's probably going to be John Cena at SmackDown 1000, because Orton's coming to kill all your heroes, kids.
Imagine Randy Orton and John Cena in a match together.
I can't even imagine it, because it's so far from reality.
Weird. Anyway, I have Jeff winning. So there you go.
Nice.
All right. We've got Charlotte Flair defending her SmackDown Live Women's Championship against Becky Lynch in a singles match. I love this story. Love it.
Me too.
WWE geniusly pivoted from the idea of having Becky as a true heel to letting them both kind of go out as tweeners, and it's made this all the more entertaining for me.
Yeah, and this is one of the matches that I initially thought should have happened inside the cell.
Oh, I still think that. I still think that this deserves that cell more than... I don't know why they're limiting it to just 2 matches on this card, but that's neither here nor there, I guess. But this definitely should be inside a cell. This is a total blood feud for the title. There's nowhere to run. Like, it would be nowhere to run, that kind of stuff. Like, it would be perfect.
I agree, because cell matches should be earned. I know I tweeted that a while ago. Got a pretty good reception from wrestling Twitter. Everyone's pretty much in agreement where Hell in a Cell matches should pretty much end a feud and not start it. And definitely not in the middle.
No. Because where do you go from no escape?
It's an end. You know? That's why I think the Jeff-Randy match works inside the Cell, because they've built to it. It's an end. Whereas I feel like Charlotte and Becky has legs to go.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's also a thing here where the themed pay-per-views come into play, and it's bad and lazy storytelling.
Yeah.
Because like with Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, well, lucky for you that it's September and we've got Hell in a Cell coming up, so our match is going to be inside Hell in a Cell.
It just so happens that it's Hell in a Cell season.
And it's like, lucky for you, it's December, and in December we're going to fight in a TLC match.
Right, exactly.
The stakes for these types of matches are usually laid out over time. If you go back and you look at the matches that took place within these structures and within these stipulations, it works because the stakes required them to.
Right. They work towards it. It's not oh yeah.
So that's just my piece on the themed pay-per-views, why I think it's dumb and lazy, and how it takes all of the creativity out of the stipulation match types.
Yeah. About Becky Lynch in this match, I believe that if they play Becky right, which right now they are, they've found a nerve with her in the audience that I think they need to play with. We could have the first true women's version of a Stone Cold Steve Austin character. Her pops are huge, and there's kind of the underdog situation that she's been in, and if they play this right, she could be in for a hell of a run, and I would be so happy with that.
Yeah, and I'm honestly thinking that we're going to get a double turn here. I think Becky's going to go face again, and Charlotte's going to turn heel.
Well, she's arguably never not been face, according to like people who are actually watching it.
No, and I understand
that. To the people who are writing it, sure, she's a heel, but right now I don't think either of them are either or. I think they're both in the middle because they're both not doing specific things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when they started with Becky, she was like insulting the crowd, and then immediately that was dropped.
Yeah, because it didn't work, and the crowd was cheering every time. She was like, "This town sucks," and they were like, "Yeah, it does." I hate it here too, like that kind of thing. So they were very smart in pivoting away from that and moving it towards neither of them are right and neither of them are wrong. They're just gonna hammer this out.
Yeah,
but I feel like these two always have good matches. But my personal feeling is that Charlotte's going to retain in this one, and then she's going to drop it at Evolution.
Okay. Yeah, I agree, because I'm thinking a double turn's going to happen, and Charlotte's going to do something to retain the title, and then Becky's going to have her crowning achievement at Evolution.
It's a bigger moment for her to pick up the title at Evolution.
Definitely. Especially if this match isn't a Hell in a Cell match.
Right.
Because if it was, I would have a different opinion on it.
Oh, definitely.
But the fact that it's
I would have Becky winning it, yeah.
The fact that it's just their first singles match, there's more to tell here. It ain't over, but we're done talking about it.
All right. Next match, we have Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus The Miz and Maryse in a mixed tag match.
I just want to start off by saying I think it was a huge mistake to cost Bryan the match at SummerSlam. There are dozens of other ways to get this feud where it needs to go, and having Maryse help The Miz to beat Bryan sort of halted Bryan's momentum again.
Yeah, I agree that ending that match the way they did was a mistake. However, I think the added wrinkle of their real life wives into this has heightened the drama for this feud and impacts their inevitable next singles match against one another.
Yeah, because I agree with you there, because Brie and Maryse being involved it's like a nice change of pace for the story. We're not getting yet another singles match between Daniel Bryan and The Miz with their wives in their corners. It's just a different layer.
Exactly.
And it's nice to see both of them getting the opportunity to return and be thrust into a natural story that actually means something.
Yeah, it's not just some manufactured women's story that doesn't really make sense.
Speaking of that, I feel like the only problem is Brie is also doing stuff with Nikki on Raw and the Riot Squad.
Yeah.
And
really, really confusing that it's completely unmentioned that she's on both shows.
Yeah. And it's like nobody talks about what she's doing on SmackDown with Raw,
right.
And vice versa. But I think they should have at least had Maryse interfere on Raw and cost Brie a match.
Right.
That would have made way more sense to me.
Right. To keep it continuity-wise making sense.
Yeah.
But that's because right now they're building to 3 different events at the same time.
They literally are, and it's disheartening.
So in my opinion, it's no surprise here that we have another pay-per-view mixed tag match with the last 3 pay-per-views having one, I believe.
Yeah.
And the return of the mixed match challenge.
Yeah, that's coming back season 2.
So I still think this will eventually lead to intergender wrestling with WWE, but I've also been saying that for 3 straight pay-per-views, so what do I know?
So I'm glad you kind of brought that up, which I figured you would. One of my biggest issues with how SmackDown ended this week is they did a Miss Elizabeth bump with Brie, where Miz kind of inadvertently pulled the rope down and Bryan fell out of the ring onto Brie, and they bumped, and then Bryan stood up and walked over to her, and he was just like, "We need some help. Get some help." Like, it just pulled me right out of it, because if you look at it, these women are supposed to be athletes and competitors.
Right, so she wouldn't be able to fall?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially from something like that. They did it with Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano back in NXT a few weeks ago. And it's just, if you're gonna portray the women as being athletes and the women as equals, they should be equals.
Right. It shouldn't like it should have made Bryan more mad than anything.
Yeah. It shouldn't
not concerned for her health and well-being.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, and I understand the bump. It's fine to take a bump. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, don't bump and sell like you're the referee.
Right, because she's not.
It's fine to take a bump and sell, but don't sell for 10 minutes on the ground and Bryan trying to halt all the action and saying get some help and they need doctors or whatever.
The next time you see her in the ring, she's going to get kicked in the face and she's going to get up.
Yeah. So that's just my problem with it.
That makes sense.
And granted, she got up and then wound up punching Miz in the face. But still,
But see, this feud has done a lot of that. There's been a lot of the women hitting the men, and the men either inadvertently or what have you hitting the women.
Well, I thought it was really interesting on SmackDown because Brie wound up trapping Maryse in the yes lock, and then Miz ran around to the side of the ring and grabbed Brie by the leg and physically ripped her out of the ring.
I think they are slowly testing the waters with the crowd to see how they handle it.
Good.
Because intergender wrestling is not a mainstream wrestling thing.
No.
It's a hardcore wrestling fan thing.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to slowly breadcrumb it to the crowd to see if they take it or not. And when you have a good story like this, they take it because it'll make sense. And that's why we led off this podcast with 3 straight SmackDown Live matches, because SmackDown has so many great storylines going on right now. Far superior storytelling going on the blue brand versus the red brand.
And I actually ran a poll the other night on Twitter that said, did the go-home shows get you excited for Hell in a Cell? And one option was yes, one option was no, one option was Raw was better, and one option was SmackDown was better. And SmackDown was better, won by a landslide. And I don't think it's a secret that SmackDown puts on continually better programming than Raw.
In less time.
Yeah. And I don't even necessarily think it's a fact of 3 hours anymore versus 2 hours.
I think it is, because I think for Raw they look down the barrel of 3 hours like, how do we fill this? And then they let stuff go too long and they rush other things. Like, there's no, like, the pacing of that show is all over the place. Where SmackDown, everything is snappy.
Yeah.
You know, you get in, you do 20 minutes, a 20-minute segment, and you're out. Or you have a segment at the beginning and a segment at the end. Like, everything is much more fast-paced. Everything is much more tight. The writing is so much better. And I think that that's a testament to the time frame being different. Because in 2 hours, you could structure your show to have a lower card, a mid card, and a top-level main event card. And then you also mix the women's stuff, and you do the same leveling with the women. And they do that on SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree to a point, but at the same time, the way that they structure the show for Raw is they try doing threads continuously through each episode, and they continually jump backstage where they try threading 5 or 6 different things together when it could just as easily be 2.
Exactly.
And half the time, they start the show off with, like, an in-ring promo that goes on for 20 minutes, and it leads to a match.
Yeah, going into Tuesday, we knew every match that was going to be on SmackDown already.
Yeah.
Every single match. Raw, we didn't even know what was going to happen.
Because Raw likes to do that thing where it's like, oh my god, this is a spur-of-the-moment thing. Here's what the main event will be later because we just set this up right now.
Yeah. I think Vince Russo would very much more enjoy Raw.
Yeah.
Crash TV, bro. In any event, getting back to the match at hand here, will Almas and Vega play a role? Because they were involved with Brie and Daniel Bryan a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I think that there still might be, because he's got to make an appearance.
I'm telling you right now, it won't be here. Their sights are set on R-Truth and Carmella.
If the rumor I read was true, McMahon is a huge fan of Almas.
Aren't we all?
And her together. He's a huge fan of the two of them together as a team. And the rumblings are that he might win a specific Rumble.
I wonder if he'd win it royally.
Quite.
Yes. Okay, so anyway, who you got winning?
I have Miz and Maryse winning.
Ooh. Okay. See, I know Miz and Bryan are competing against each other at Super Showdown with the number 1 contender spot on the line. So it'll be interesting to see which direction we go from here. But I think that Bryan and Brie pick up the victory at Hell in a Cell, which will continue both of the feuds leading into Super Showdown and Evolution.
I think, this is just my opinion, Miz and Maryse win here. Miz wins at Super Showdown, and then wins the WWE title at SmackDown 1000.
He does have a very impressive track record when it comes to special SmackDown/Raw shows.
Yes, he does.
I was at SmackDown 900, and Miz won the Intercontinental title.
I'm just saying.
He won the Intercontinental title at Raw 25.
Mm-hmm.
He won the Intercontinental title at Raw 1000. You know, so just
imagine Bryan dropping 3 straight to Miz, and then Miz has the title. How much more fire that feud's going to have.
When Bryan eventually wins the Royal Rumble and then goes on to face The Miz. at WrestleMania.
All for it. I'm all for it. Sign me up right now.
Yep. I still think Bryan and Brie win this. Kind of ties the series 1-1. But I feel like Brie's going to get the win over Maryse.
Yeah. That makes sense. She's going to hit her with a yes mode. She's going to go for another suicide dive. And almost commit suicide.
Stop it. Stop.
Ring the bell. All right, switching over to Raw, we have the Raw Tag Team Championship match featuring the champions, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, taking on Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, 2/3 of the Shield.
Boy, oh boy, here we are again.
So, imagine a story is like a wet towel. And the water soaked up in that towel is potential. We have almost wrung this thing out, right?
So here's my big issue with this match. You know how earlier you had said that Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton doesn't have much build behind it?
Yes.
This match.
Yes, I do. For the record, I do remember saying that.
This match, in my opinion, does not have nearly enough build behind it as it should, because last week the belts were on the B team, and this week
the belts are totally
irrelevant,
secondary to this feud, because they've been fighting each other for the last 2 months.
But they didn't need it. That's the thing. The belts.
No, I know they didn't need it.
It seems they literally. It doesn't even seem they literally took the belts off the tag team champions, the B team, and handed it over to this feud.
Yes.
Now let me be,
because they wanted to get more out of it.
Let me be clear. The Raw Tag Team Championships do not mean anything ever since a 10-year-old won the titles at WrestleMania, and I will never let that go. It didn't do anything for Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt when they won the titles.
No.
It didn't do anything for the B team when they won the titles.
Well, hold on.
No, don't, because it didn't. They decided to just make them credible for what, a week, 2.
They were on a tear. We said in our last episode they were on a tear, and it was a historic run. We said the words historic run
for them.
For them,
it had
nothing to do with the actual. It had nothing to do with the titles they were holding. It was a run for them. I
like them, but the fact that they just dropped them to Dolph and Drew in the middle of a program with the Revival is a shame, and I feel bad for the B team and Revival. I feel bad
for the Revival. they got done dirty.
And this match is not any more important having those belts on the line.
No, absolutely not. The belts don't do anything for this feud. The reason I said that it's a wet towel is that we are squeezing it as we twist to get all the drops out. I've seen everything that these 4 guys can do together, I feel like. Everything.
And Seth is the Intercontinental Champion. I was thinking during Raw, since pairing Seth back up with the Shield, it's only hurting him.
Absolutely.
His reactions haven't been nearly as loud as they used to be, and it's weighing him down. And Ambrose returned to a huge pop, and I'm not a big Ambrose fan, but the crowd went nuts when he showed up.
They did, and then he didn't talk.
And then he went right back to doing the same exact thing he was doing right before he left, teaming with Seth. Yep. We've seen it, and we've seen Rollins and Ambrose as tag champs. So could we please do anything else?
My brain is telling me that they're going to win the tag team titles.
Yeah.
And it's going to the Shield is going to have all the gold.
Yeah.
All of it on Raw, because Rollins has the Intercontinental title. I totally forgot that he had that.
Yeah.
Totally forgot. Because when he comes out in his Shield attire, he's not wearing his other belt.
No, he doesn't. It's that, and that's the thing that pisses me off, because the Intercontinental title, since the Universal title was gone, became the title. And now
now
that
it's kind of slipped already.
And now that Roman is back on Raw with the Universal title, which I am okay with, the Intercontinental Championship has literally been forgotten about.
See, and this is why Raw sucks and SmackDown's awesome.
Because they just don't. They pick and choose what they want to make important.
Yep.
Just like
and then
the tag
it's never
team titles.
consistent, and it's never consistent.
Yep.
I think so. In my head, I think that Ambrose and Rollins win the titles, but in my heart, I'm going Ziggler and McIntyre retain, and maybe they feud with AOP.
So, so here's what I'm thinking. In my brain, and in the best possible scenario for this, I feel like having this match end in a disqualification would work. And by that, I mean the Revival come out and attack Drew and Dolph, causing the DQ finish and helping everyone kind of look good. And then it gives us a tweener team in the Revival who could chase the belts and get the tag division back to where it should be. And then we already know that we're getting the Shield versus Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre at Super Showdown. So this match is not going to be the end of it. And I think that they're going to try making that match for all of the gold.
Okay. Except the Intercontinental title.
Except the Intercontinental
But
title.
all the gold.
Yeah.
Right. Well, maybe Seth will pull double duty because it's Seth. But there's always a question of, will he turn in matches like this? And I don't think at this point in time it is a good time for anyone involved to turn on anyone else yet.
Well, no, because they've got a 6-man tag coming up. They're not going to change that.
Yeah, it'll totally muddy everything. But I just want to throw it out there because every time Seth and Dean are standing next to each other, everybody's like, is Dean going to turn? It's not happening yet, so just relax.
It shouldn't happen at all, but...
It shouldn't happen at all.
So I've got Ziggler and McIntyre winning.
I've got Ziggler and McIntyre winning.
My caveat to that is going to be disqualification.
Yeah.
But they're going to win regardless.
Let's go back to the A show. How about the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championship match featuring the New Day, the champs,
versus the Bludgeon Brother? Oh, wait. No.
It's Jordan, it's the very first time this has ever happened. It is a Day versus Day match. We've got New Day versus Rusev Day.
I'm really glad you set that up that way.
Day versus Day.
It's going to be fun. The one positive thing that I could say for the SmackDown tag division is that they've been featuring their teams and having them earn title opportunities.
Yes.
Especially doing it during really competitive matchups.
Rusev Day fought back from the brink of extinction to get here. And as a team, they're still fresh, they're still fun, and it still feels new.
Yeah, dude, they have fantastic chemistry in the ring.
And I really like, a couple weeks ago, New Day's 5-time champ celebration that featured a surprise visit from another royal.
I know.
King Booker was there.
Booker.
It was such a great segment. That was such a great segment. Totally unexpected. They're using a guy that's in the back every show for a huge pop from the crowd. I like this matchup a lot, but I've been standing for Rusev ever since his very first main roster run. Everybody that listens to this show knows how much we are huge fans of Rusev going back a year listening to this show.
Yep.
So, I also always enjoy New Day. They're so much fun. But I think WWE should strike now and get the tag straps on Rusev and English.
Yeah, the New Day do not need the tag team titles, and we said that in the last episode. And I think the only reason they put the titles on them was because Rowan got hurt.
Yeah.
What better time than now to make it a very happy Rusev Day and have Rusev Day win the WWE SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships?
Dude, I'm so hopeful that that's what they do.
Throw Rusev and English a bone.
This doesn't need to be a long feud. This can be a one-off match. and then you could move on to something that's new as a matchup situation. But I think that getting the titles onto Rusev Day will be huge, and it'll be such a great moment on this card to celebrate Rusev Day, man.
Yeah, the crowd's gonna go bananas.
I really want them to win here because I want them to have it when we go see them at SmackDown 1000.
That is true. They've got what it takes, and let them roll with it. I would also propose, after this match is one and done, let's get the club back onto our TV screens and let them attack Rusev in English after their win. And then the New Day could challenge them on SmackDown the following Tuesday, saying that because of their unsportsmanship or whatever, and then they beat the New Day, and then they beat Rusev in English in a non-title match to become #1 contenders. And just like that, I booked your tag division card for you until Super Showdown. So thank you.
Man, it sounds so easy.
And it's new, refreshing match types.
I want the club on TV because Carl Anderson is super underrated in the ring. So
is Luke Gallows.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I really think that people, at least Gallows has the size, and people go, "Oh, that's the big guy." But I think that Anderson is super, super underappreciated in the ring for what he's capable of. So I want to see him doing more. Him and Rusev in matches all day, every day.
There you go. Let's do it. Book it.
All right, ring the bell. Can we just stay on SmackDown? Let's just stay on SmackDown. I don't want to go back to Raw. Let's stay on SmackDown.
All right. Do you want to talk about the final SmackDown match on the card?
That being the WWE Championship match featuring our reigning, defending, undisputed WWE Champion AJ Styles taking on an angry, awesome Samoa Joe.
Couldn't think of another adjective there?
He's just so goddamn good.
At first, I wasn't happy with how this feud was starting to play out, but as it's had time to breathe and develop, I'm very interested.
I think we can all agree that this is what we wanted from these two guys, and I'm glad that you brought up that people were hesitant to get behind this at first, because I knew that this was going to be good. You just had to let it breathe, because these two can do everything. So I'm super happy that you're in it now.
Yeah, because I wasn't before SummerSlam. I really wasn't. I was excited for their match, but I wasn't excited for the story. And I think Joe has done a great job of getting under AJ's skin, and it bleeds through in both their promos and their segments together. And Joe actually had a really cool stylized promo on SmackDown, which we never see, where he read that story to AJ Styles and like his family. It was so different, but it was so refreshing. And the artwork at the end showing Samoa Joe holding the WWE Championship, and then AJ Styles' wife and daughter wrapped around him. It was great. It's just awesome.
Dude, it's so great. This is my most anticipated match on this card by a mile.
And that says something. At a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, we're excited for a match that is not inside the cell.
Yeah, because it's just the story for this. Like I said earlier, SmackDown has the stories. If you're watching this for the stories, this SmackDown is the show to watch. And also, just a quick side note, I think WWE is so lucky to have had the opportunity to employ the two of these people.
Could not agree more. AJ Styles' empty arena promo was so cool. You know, they've built a believable angle here, and Joe, he's gotten to AJ. And AJ isn't just fighting for his championship, but he's fighting for his family's honor. And I liked how he referred to Samoa Joe as someone who he shared a friendship for over 10 years with. And it makes it a little more personal, letting in the fact that they've had a history. You know, because these two guys in real life are friends. So being able to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit and make it so AJ knows Samoa Joe's wife, you know, but he said, I would never go after another man's family. He goes,
Yep.
he's taken it too far. So now I need to be the one to take him out and stop him. He escalated it to a point where it should have never gotten to. And this is the house that AJ Styles has built, and it is not for sale.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that Joe's gotten into AJ's head, because I think it's so apparent in how they've built this with each other, you know. But I think it is high time that Samoa Joe reap the benefits of that. So I think Joe wins this match.
You know, SummerSlam was great between these two. So I fully expect this to only be better. They're also set to face each other at Super Showdown in another title match. So
Yeah.
I understand why this match isn't inside the cell. Once again, I complained about it. But realizing that they're planning on doing another match at Super Showdown 3 weeks later, it makes some sense as to why the Hell in a Cell isn't. But this isn't an easy choice for me. I'm reluctantly choosing Samoa Joe here.
Yes!
With the caveat being that AJ Styles is going to retain the championship at Super Showdown.
So Joe wins the title here and then drops it at Super Showdown?
That's the only way I see him winning.
Wow.
I feel like they need to give this win to Joe, though, because he not only deserves it, but he needs it. To remain a relevant threat on SmackDown, he needs this title.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So I've got Joe.
I've got Joe.
I don't think that AJ Styles is going to drop the belt permanently. But it also depends where we go after this, leading to Super Showdown and then beyond. So,
Yeah.
because it depends on who the number one contender is. Because I would love to see AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan, but I would also love to see AJ Styles versus The Miz. But also, I would like to see Daniel Bryan versus Samoa Joe.
Oh, yeah. I think that it'll turn more towards AJ and Miz after Super Showdown to get Miz the belt. And I think it'll be Bryan and Joe fighting for the number one spot.
Oh.
And I think that Bryan will win, and then Miz will win. And you weave those two together. And then you have Bryan versus Miz for the title. And you have AJ and Joe settling the score.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this match. This will be match of the night.
Absolutely.
From not only a wrestling standpoint, but from a storytelling perspective.
Well, that and it'll be match of the night because Almas isn't in a match.
That we know of. He could be on the pre-show.
Yeah,
we could get R-Truth and Carmella versus Vega and Almas.
You know, that's probably very likely for the pre-show, actually.
Called it here. You heard it here first. Royally rumbled.
That's probably very likely for the pre-show. Okay. All right. Not bad. I guess we could ring the bell on this one.
Samoa Joe, new WWE champion.
And I guess we could flip on over to Raw.
I mean, Ronda Rousey, right?
Yeah, I mean, all right, fine. So we'll talk about the Raw Women's Championship first. Is the champ Ronda Rousey taking on Alexa Bliss? Ronda's a lot of fun, so okay, that's fine.
I mean, I appreciate the work that they're trying to put into this build to make people believe that Alexa has a chance. The way...
Well, that's because she's surrounding herself with her little Mean Girls posse, and I think it really suits her character.
I mean, the way that Alexa was manhandled by Ronda at SummerSlam, in my opinion, was pathetic. And I know you were like, no, it makes sense, and
it
defending
does.
it, but like, no, I have no interest in seeing her do the same thing to her here.
Well, no, that's why Alexa went out, and she's assembled her team now. She has 2 other women behind her, backing her up. So that's what all of this has been on Raw, is Alexa having now she's been in the ring with Ronda. First, she was taking Ronda lightly, right? She was going, oh, she's a rookie, and this, that, and the other thing. And now she was in the ring with her, and she knows that she's legit, you know, because she wouldn't have known that otherwise. Because we're supposed to believe that she's all at once smart and absolutely incredibly stupid. So now she's been assembling this group. She's got Foxy behind her, and she's got Mickie James behind her, and I think that they're going to be in her corner during the match.
That makes sense.
So she went out and she got the team to try to protect herself.
That's true. I'm sure that Natalya will be in Ronda's corner.
Yeah. And I really can't imagine Ronda losing here again after what you said we saw at SummerSlam. And oh yeah, she's friends with the Bellas or something.
Let's not. Okay? Could we just not?
All right, well, who you got winning?
I see Ronda retaining in her first championship title defense. I'd be all right with her defending against a face Natalya at Super Showdown before building to something bigger at Evolution.
Something bigger. It could
Nikki
be
Bella. Because Lord help us.
That's going to be the main event of Evolution. Rousey versus Bella. The two biggest names in women's fight sports. Did you see the alleged leaked card for it?
Yeah, I did, and I'm 98% sure that it's fake.
Totally. I don't,
because I think,
I mean, obviously, anything that you see online that says it's a leak to anything, they don't have the card built for that. They have no idea what they're doing yet.
And that page wouldn't be printed out this early in advance.
Well, that's exactly my point, is that there's no way that they have it all planned out that far ahead, that they're printing it out and handing it to people. So, now, there was some stuff on there that I was totally okay with.
Yeah.
Like the special announcement being that there's going to be women's tag titles decided that night. Because I think that we're way beyond needing women's tag team titles if we're gonna commit to the women's evolution, and we're gonna commit to almost equal airtime, because there's not as many women, so you can't have 50-50, because that's not fair to all the guys that are just sitting around not doing anything. But I think it would involve more women and more meaningful stories. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
So I do think that that's where they should go with it. I think that there should be a women's tag title, not a division. It's just you have a lot of women that already are kind of teamed up.
I mean,
so just use that.
They just paired up Asuka and Naomi.
Yeah. You know, it doesn't have to. Organically, sometimes it can just wind up making sense. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Because Asuka already wears a bunch of crazy colors. So you could stretch that into Naomi go and try this glow. You know? Like, you could make it make sense.
Definitely.
But whatever.
But
I have Ronda Rousey retaining her title.
Yeah, I have Ronda as well.
There's no way that she doesn't. Absolutely no way that she doesn't. And finally, we have...
the match we've all been waiting for.
We have been waiting with bated breath, Jordan, to finally see the culmination of Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. And they're going to do it for the Universal Championship, and they're going to do it inside a Hell in a Cell. With Mick Foley as a special guest referee, because if you look in a mirror and say Hell in a Cell 3 times, Mick Foley just shows up.
Oh, God. Okay. My first question is, why did they turn Braun Strowman heel? My second question is, why is Mick Foley the special guest referee without having any build or interaction with either superstar?
Because it's like an urban myth. Kids do it at like sleepovers.
My third and final question is, why isn't this the end of their feud? Because They're going to be facing each other again after the Hell in the Cell match 3 weeks later in a 6-man tag. So we are going to get 3 weeks of Roman versus Strowman on Monday Night Raw.
There are no real answers to your questions.
I'm not against Mick Foley as the special guest referee. I want to be clear about that.
Well, he's got to... How does he figure in? He's got to Sacco somebody. Who's he Saccoing?
Dude, he goes to Sacco Braun Strowman, and Strowman just, like, no-sells him and then puts him through a cell wall.
I just imagine in my head Mick Foley's old body just careening through the wall of the cell.
Oh, God.
He's like, I got to test this new hip, brother. Give me the old heave ho.
God. Give me the old heave ho, he says. Brother.
That's the way Foley would talk, I would imagine. Officially, this match is Braun Strowman's Money in the Bank cash-in.
Yeah, so, like...
Which I really don't like. I really don't like that. I really don't like that at all. It really kills the allure and the entire point of the Money in the Bank briefcase to begin with. The whole idea is to surprise your opponent and catch them off guard, which Braun announced is something he's not going to do. So he just hands the briefcase over and says, in 3 weeks, I'm going to take you on inside a cell. Did he need the briefcase to get a title match with Roman Reigns?
No.
Absolutely not.
And we talked about that in our Money in the Bank episode where we had said Braun Strowman does not need to win this, so therefore he shouldn't. Out of everyone in that match, Braun Strowman does not need this briefcase. And here we are, fast forward, it's September. He didn't need it. He still didn't need it.
It's a total waste of the briefcase.
Yeah.
Because you could have just given it to somebody that wasn't in that realm yet, even. Because, I mean, I wanted Kevin Owens to win it at Money in the Bank. And then at SummerSlam, I wanted Kevin Owens to win it. And that sure as hell did not happen because he got steamrolled.
But we're not talking about that now. None of that really matters, right? Because he's teaming up to help Braun Strowman, right?
I don't know. Whatever. And how can Braun absolutely decimate Owens inside a cage 2 pay-per-views ago and lose here? Because that's what's happening. Roman Reigns is winning.
Even look.
Spoiler alert. Roman Reigns is winning.
Even look at the ending of Monday Night Raw this week. Roman Samoan dropped Braun Strowman through the stage, and I don't like that we've seen Strowman take bigger bumps like that and walk away unscathed, but I guess we just got to make Roman look strong, right?
You know, in Samoa, they just call it a drop.
But yeah, I went ahead and I asked Wrestling Twitter earlier today, who's going to win this match? And so far, the results, as of this recording, 70% say Roman Reigns is walking away, retaining the title.
And 30% are just wrong.
30% say Braun Strowman. They wish Braun Strowman would win, but it's not going to happen.
Right. Well, the question said, who do you think? So there's 30% of the people, of respondents of that poll, didn't actually think.
Yep. So yeah, I'm with the 70% saying Roman Reigns will win this match.
I also agree with the crowd here. I'm going to go with the audience, Regis.
That's a dated reference. Jeez, half the listeners probably don't even know what that means. If you know what that means, find us on Twitter at Royally Rumbled, and you let us know where that line came from, and we'll give you a prize. I'm not going to tell you what it is, though. It's not $1 million.
Wait a minute.
Wink.
I believe there are some context clues here.
So, yeah, I could see after this match them making the 6-man tag match in Australia for all of the titles. I see Reigns retaining here, and I see Ziggler and McIntyre retaining, and then this way each team has something to vie for.
Okay, so it'll be... All right, I got
winner take all.
That's cool. I like that. I would be for that.
That's the only thing that would make sense to me.
Yeah, that's cool.
The only fact that they could take all of those titles and put them on the Shield / the War Dogs or whatever they're called.
Well, I mean, according to WWE, the Shield is the greatest faction of all time. So...
Yeah, and much to wrestling Twitter's chagrin...
Yeah, people were not happy when they released that top 10 list.
Yeah, so...
Not happy.
So Robert and I took it upon ourselves to look at that question and really dissect the answers and everything.
Yeah, I mean, we listened to people talk about it, people complain about it online, and tried to take into account everything that was being said one way or the other. Some people really love the Shield and really go to bat for them like all the time. It's very... I mean, I get it. I like them a lot. When they first came out, obviously, huge fan. Since then, it's been kind of up and down. But, you know, be that as it may, we decided to list our own top 10 factions of all time. And this is strictly within the confines of the WWE universe, meaning if WWE owns the footage and it is available on the network, those groups can be included. So you got NWA stuff, WCW stuff, obviously old WWF, WWE stuff. All that's fair game here. What's not fair game is stuff from TNA, stuff from New Japan, stuff from ROH, that kind of thing. So just to set the parameters a little bit before we read the list off. So here is our top 10 greatest factions of all time, starting at number 10, meaning the bottom of the rung, and we'll end at number 1, the best faction of all time, as per Royally Rumbled. Number 10, The New Day. Number 9, The Shield. Number 8, The Corporation. Number 7, The Nation of Domination. Number 6, Evolution. Number 5, The Hart Foundation. Number 4, D-Generation X. Number 3, the NWO. Number 2, the Fabulous Freebirds. And number 1, the Four Horsemen, brother.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid list, and we got a lot of good feedback from people on Twitter once we posted that.
Yeah. Surprisingly, or not, depending on how you want to look at it, more people asked us about the Ministry than anything. Which I was like, oh man, this is awesome, because we had the Ministry.
Yeah. We actually had the Ministry on our list this morning when we were trying to fight it out, and we wound up bumping them to number 11. So if it was a top 11 list, they would have been number 11.
Yep, absolutely.
So honorable mention goes to the Ministry of Darkness.
So that was our top 10 list of the greatest factions of all time, because WWE dropped a nuclear bomb on wrestling Twitter when they dropped that graphic. So
yeah, as they do.
Everybody still talking about it, not including us, but still talking about it, everybody.
Yeah. Still
contesting what they put on there.
So if you agree or disagree, let us know. Go ahead, give us a follow on Twitter at Royally Rumbled. We also posted about it on our Facebook page. You can find us at facebook.com/Royally Rumbled. You can also find us on YouTube. Just go ahead, search Royally Rumbled Podcast. Just want to remind you guys that when the Wrestling Podcast Awards, hosted by the Wrestle Hub, go live, we're going to be sharing that. Go ahead and vote for us for Best Duo, Best Prediction Podcast, and Podcast of the Year. Voting should be open soon-ish, so make sure you give them a follow at the Wrestle Hub. We're available on the following platforms: iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, SoundCloud, and Spotify. And if you listen to podcasts on a different platform, let us know, because we'll get on there just for you. So
just for you.
Be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode, and leave us a review. It really does help us.
And with all of these shows coming up with WWE in the next month and a half, we're going to have episodes and content coming at you fast. So make sure that you do subscribe so you don't miss any of it. We're going to do a prediction show for every single one of these events that's coming up, and maybe one or two other things that we have in the works yet, but we don't want to necessarily divulge entirely at the moment.
Yeah, but very soon, very soon. And actually, we're going to throw something at you real quick. Go ahead and give us a follow on Instagram.
What?
Yeah, that's right. Royally Rumbled is now on Instagram. And we've got some awesome content coming at you, not just from the podcast, but just from wrestling history. And for now, we're going to keep it relative to WWE, just like the podcast. If other things come up, obviously, we'll share it there. But yeah, go ahead. Give us a follow on Instagram at Royally Rumbled.
We just want to be where you are. And if you're on Instagram, we're on Instagram.
Look at that.
We're like a shadow. And if you enjoy the two of us as a duo and you're going to vote for us in the WrestleHub's Wrestling Podcast Awards, you can also follow us individually. I, Robert, can be found on Twitter and Instagram at Yesball. And
I, Jordan, could be followed on Twitter and Instagram at Alex Shepard. That's ALXSHPRD. Thanks for listening, everyone. This has been episode 16, Hell in a Cell 2018. We've got special announcements coming at you. We've got a bunch of content. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and now Instagram. Be on the lookout, because we've got stuff coming down the pike. We'll see you at Smackdown 1000, live and in person. And for Royally Rumbled, he's Robert.
He's Jordan.
And remember, no guess is as good as ours.